Frank Halverson here with this week's KVGC Les Schwab Tire Pigskin Preview. When we come back, we'll talk about the big games, the first week of Mother Lode League action from last week, and the two big games coming up this week. So stay tuned.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks!
Thanks for not just selling me tires.
Thanks for running out to my car to greet me.
Like, running.
Thanks for checking my brakes for free!
For fixing my flat.
For free.
And being just hassle-free.
For talking to me like an intelligent human being.
You don't see that too often.
Thanks for hustling to get me out of there.
Without making me feel hustled.
So thanks.
Thanks. Thanks for doing the right thing by not just selling me tires.
Les Schwab Tires. Doing the right thing matters.
Well, last Friday, there were 5. Now there are only 3. That's 3 undefeated teams left after 1 week of Mother Lode League play. In the big game of the night, Sonora goes to 13-0 in Mother League games since they joined the league by defeating Calaveras 28-14. Calaveras kept it close early, but Sonora had 3 turnovers and 11 penalties in the game, which really helped keep Calaveras in the game. Kyle Bird completed a 13-yard TD to Chance Norton for one of his 2 touchdown passes on the night for Bird. But in the end, Sonora was the bigger, stronger team, holding Noah Preuss, the great running back for Calaveras, to just 39 yards on the night. The reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Nate Gookin for Sonora, had a big night on both sides of the ball. Gookin first forced a turnover, had numerous tackles, and was the leading rusher of the night with 13 yards and a touchdown. Kane Rogers, the quarterback for Sonora, threw 2 more touchdown passes to add to his season total. The other big game of the night was Argonaut, who defeated a very game Bret Hart team. And I have to give Bret Hart a lot of props here. I've been doing this for about 25 years. I have never seen Bret Hart come in more prepared and play a more physical style of football than they did the other night. So congratulations for Bret Hart for that. I really thought they put on a good effort. They came in. However, they fell short, losing to Argonaut 27-13. It was 13-0 at half. It was really the tale of 2 halves. After a scoreless first quarter, Bret Hart found the end zone twice in the second quarter, one on a 78-yard scamper by their sophomore quarterback, who was very impressive for the first score of the night, and a 2-yard plunge by the 6'1", 228-pound Anthony Howard. He was a big boy. Well, at halftime, Argonaut made some adjustments, and they were able to shut Howard down pretty good in the second half. The second half started, however, with an onside kick by Bret Hart, and you could just feel the wind being sucked out of the Mustang sails. Then the momentum shifted a little bit as Argonaut held off on downs and got the ball back. With Bret Hart pinned back on their own 15-yard line, facing a 4th and 3, Coach Kester made one of the worst calls, I believe, in the history of football. Instead of punting the ball like he should have, with a 13-0 lead, the Bullfrogs went for it from their own 15-yard line. The Mustang defense held, took over on downs, and had it 1st and 10 from the 15. Trevor Ramage took it from there, and let's listen to the call. For the Mustangs. Oh, inside handoff, touchdown!
And that was perfectly run inside reverse. Johnny White
Ramage
back to Ramage. Perfect handoff by White to Ramage, and that was a great run reverse.
Wow, what a reversal right there. And I'm telling you what, Coach, that's on you.
And that is going to be your utility telephone play and call, or excuse me, telecom play and call of the game.
Well, so Argonaut was on the board, and old Mo, that old momentum was now wearing the green and gold. And within the next minute, Ramage would take it in from 4 yards out, and just like that, this game was tied. Johnny White took an inside reverse and went 34 yards to the land of 6, and Argonaut had its first lead of the night at 20-13. Bret Hart at this point needed a throw now with time running out, and Trevor Ramage stepped in front of a Kraft pass and took it 25 yards for a pick 6, and that's how the game ended. Argonaut 27, Bret Hart 13. Argonaut remains undefeated with the big game of the week playing the visiting team from Calaveras, and this should be a dandy. Now, I want to talk about maybe keys to this game a little bit. You know, Calaveras was ahead early against Sonora, but Sonora is a big, strong team, and they just kind of wore Calaveras down in the second half. I think that one thing for the defensive line, they're going to have to stop Preuss. The other side of the ball, I think Argonaut had a little trouble on the offensive line against Bret Hart, and they had trouble running their read option because the defensive line was getting so much penetration that they had to run the play deeper than they'd like. So that put the pitch man 7 to 8 yards back, and they really had a hard time getting back to the line of scrimmage. So the offensive line is really going to need to do a better job controlling the line of scrimmage when they're on offense. Let's look at the other game. Amador remained the other undefeated team, destroying Linden 61-7. Dalen Thedford ran for 206 yards and 4 touchdowns. This week, Amador gets their first real test of the year traveling to Sonora. And this is a David and Goliath game as far as I see it. Amador's speed versus Sonora's size and strength. I think one of the keys for Amador is, we've seen them score so many points this year. They're really dynamic and they really score with big explosion plays. They're going to need to have some sustained drives to keep Sonora on the field a little bit longer on defense, and hopefully they can slow the game down a little bit and give Sonora a good test. But it's going to be a real test for Amador traveling over to Sonora because this team is big and they are strong and they're on a roll again. Somerville was on a bye last week, and they play their first league game this week against Linden. That should be a pretty easy win for Somerville. As we've stated before, Linden is probably the doormat of the league, and I don't see that changing any. Bret Hart, they have a league bye, as we talked about last week, because 7 league teams in. One team always has a league bye this week, so they will play a non-conference game against a 1-3 team from Winters. So that's the wrap-up for it. We're going to be our game of the week is this week, Calaveras visiting Argonaut, and it should be a dandy. The other big one on slate is Amador traveling over to Sonora. There's 3 undefeated teams left. There's only going to be 1, but we'll see what's going to happen. Big game for Calaveras coming off a loss to Sonora. Probably thought that was their big game of the season because nobody wins this league with 2 losses. So a big game for Calaveras, trying to bounce back against the Mustangs. The Mustangs look to stay undefeated along with Amador and Sonora, the other 2 undefeated teams. It should be an outstanding week of Mother Lode League football, so I hope you're there with us.